If you walked into a high-end boutique today and spent $3,000 on a designer handbag, you'd probably feel a deep sense of satisfaction. You'd think you just paid for heritage, immaculate hand-stitching, and old-world craftsmanship. But something in the math doesn't add up. If you take that exact same bag, cut it open, and trace its components back to the raw materials, the physical cost of production rarely exceeds $50. Now the standard corporate defense is obvious. You're paying for the marketing, the prime real estate, and the elite retail experience. Except that isn't the real trick. The real trick, the one almost nobody notices, is that your luxury item was likely produced on an optimized assembly line right next to pieces destined for high-street fast fashion stores, using the exact same operational plumbing. Which begs an incredibly uncomfortable question. If the craftsmanship disappeared, what exactly are you buying? Most people believe that the luxury industry operates like an art house. We imagine a dedicated, third-generation artisan sitting in a sunlit workshop in Florence, meticulously crafting a single piece over the course of 40 hours. That's the explanation everyone accepts. It's the story beautifully printed on the glossy booklets tucked inside the box. The truth is far stranger. The luxury industry is no longer run by passionate designers or family-owned heritage houses. It is controlled by a handful of ruthless, hyper-optimized financial conglomerates. Over the last few decades, these corporate entities quietly bought up almost every independent label on Earth, stripped out the traditional workshops, and replaced them with a massive, high-velocity corporate engine. They didn't scale luxury, they industrialized it. To understand how this machine works, we have to look back at the late 20th century. A small group of corporate raiders realized something profound. The emotional weight of a legacy logo was worth billions, but the slow, traditional way of making things was capping their profits. So they restructured the entire financial plumbing of fashion. They centralized the supply chains. They pooled the raw material sourcing. They applied the exact same inventory velocity metrics used by supermarkets to premium leather goods. Suddenly, brands that used to make a few thousand units a year were pumping out millions. But that creates a massive logical contradiction. In economics, when you radically increase the supply of something, its value is supposed to go down. Yet, over the exact same period these brands scaled production to factory levels, their prices didn't drop. They skyrocketed by 400%. Here is where things become interesting. How do you convince millions of people to pay exponentially more money for an item that is objectively less rare and more cheaply made than it was 30 years ago? How do you maintain the illusion of an elite, handcrafted masterpiece when the product is being churned out by the container load? The industry had to construct a shadow reality, a hyper-coordinated system designed to hide the assembly line while flashing the price tag. And to make it work, they had to exploit a massive gap in human psychology. It gets worse. To keep profits expanding, the conglomerates couldn't just change how things were made. They had to change where they were made without losing the legal right to print those prestigious words, made in Italy or made in France. After all, if a luxury consumer sees, made in a low-cost industrial zone, the magic spell breaks instantly. So how do you mass-produce an item under hyper-efficient factory conditions while legally keeping the heritage stamp? The industry found a brilliant, albeit deeply cynical, loophole. Take the region of Tuscany, Italy. If you travel just outside the historic, romantic streets of Florence, you'll find industrial hubs like Prato. Over the past few decades, these zones have become populated by thousands of outsourced, subcontracted factories. Many of these workshops are owned and operated not by traditional Italian guilds, but by fast fashion supply networks utilizing imported, low-wage migrant labor. They import the materials, run the high-speed assembly lines, and produce the goods under extreme pressure. But because the physical factory is geographically located inside the borders of Italy, the finished product legally receives the Made in Italy stamp. The consumer thinks they are buying the soul of Italian artisan culture. In reality, they are buying a product manufactured under the exact same supply chain mechanics as a $30 fast fashion jacket, just wrapped in a more expensive dust bag. But that still doesn't explain everything. If the quality is mediocre and the production is outsourced, who is actually buying all of this? The common assumption is that these brands cater exclusively to the ultra-wealthy, the jet-set elite who don't care about the price. But the numbers tell a completely different story. The ultra-wealthy are not the engine of modern luxury conglomerates. The ultra-rich don't buy the giant, logo-heavy canvas bags or the branded t-shirts. Those products are deliberately designed as loud, walking billboards. The entire multi-billion-dollar luxury apparatus is actually funded by the aspirational middle class. The system is engineered to target people who cannot quite afford the lifestyle, but are willing to drain their liquidity or use short-term consumer credit to purchase a single, highly visible token of status. The conglomerates don't sell products to the rich, they sell the illusion of wealth to the middle class. When you see the whole picture, you realize this is much bigger than a shift in retail manufacturing. The modern luxury brand is no longer a fashion company, it is an emotional asset manager. The bag, the watch, or the shoes are not functional goods, they are programmable financial tokens. The conglomerates have built a network where the physical product is completely secondary. What they are actually selling you is a permission slip, a temporary license to feel superior to the people around you. They control the perception of status, they manipulate the cultural scoreboard, and they dictate the rules of what it means to look successful. The actual material in your hand is just the cheap fuel being burned inside a massive corporate engine designed to extract capital from your insecurity. The financial plumbing of this illusion is completely set up and running flawlessly. Every time we scroll through social media or look at a celebrity endorsement, we are looking at a carefully managed scoreboard designed to keep us chasing the next logo. Which leaves us with one incredibly uncomfortable question. When you strip away the marketing, the heritage storytelling, and the artificial scarcity, what happens to your sense of value when you realize that the only truly premium thing about your luxury purchase was the price you were tricked into paying? True luxury used to be defined by what was hidden inside the craftsmanship. Modern luxury is defined by what it hides from the consumer.